Hi, welcome back, all. This is Lauren DeMarco, and welcome to my podcast, Hear Me Out, where I will be giving advice on how to deal with anxiety and depression during stressful situations. My special guest during this podcast series is my good friend Alexis Krempa. This is my second podcast series episode, and I am so excited to share with all of you my advice and tips. So welcome, and I will be talking about the things you can do to deal with anxiety and depression during hard times. Now, dealing with anxiety and depression is not an easy thing to deal with. Everyone goes through anxiety and depression, like myself, and however, everyone has different types of anxiety and depression they deal with. For myself, personally speaking, I suffer from high intensity of anxiety and depression. It has been a real challenge for myself to deal with for the past 5 years. It has always been a struggle to, deal with anxiety and depression through hard times that we all face throughout our lives. There have been a few things that I've acknowledged that has helped me get through somewhat of my anxiety and depression. Looking back, I found in an article from Helping Guide, it's called, and they say that stress wreaks havoc on your emotional equilibrium as well as your physical health. It narrows your ability to think clearly, function effectively, and enjoy life. I was always told that in a different form of a sentence, but I was always told that, you first need to focus on your mental health and your physical health, or else, you won't be able to function and think clearly. This statement is very true because with anxiety and depression, it starts with managing situational factors first in your life. Dealing with outside situations with family, friends, and, colleagues at work, when you're dealing with, stressful situations that, can occur in everyday life. Now for my special guest during this podcast will be my good friend Alexis Krempa. Alexis is a senior at Monmouth University, and she tells us and discusses the importance of how she handles her anxiety when she is stressed out. So Alexis, my first question for you is, what do you do when you are stressed or not feeling the best?
When I'm stressed out and not feeling myself, I usually listen to music that I like, and usually I'll go to the gym to clear my head and work out, and that usually helps me. Or if I'm at home, maybe I'll take a break and close my eyes and light a candle or something like that, and that usually calms me down.
So, I definitely agree with that. I think music helps me actually just kind of turn out, a lot of things and just have like a break for myself to think and cope with things that, I might not want to talk about at the time. But I definitely agree with you, Lex. So, Alexis, then that leads me to my next question. So, would you consider yourself to be an anxious person or a relaxed, calm person?
I would consider myself an anxious person.
I think I'm an anxious person as well. I always have been, I think, as a little kid. I think that's where some of my anxiety comes along with that. As I talk about later in my podcast, I had a death in my family about 6 years ago. It was my grandma. And it was a really hard thing and still is till this day. Even like mentioning it, it's really hard. But I definitely think, when I was younger, I was always an anxious person. So I definitely think we have same personalities with that. But my other question for you is that third question is, what makes you the most anxious or worried during a stressful time?
The thing that makes me the most anxious is definitely being overwhelmed with schoolwork and the semester.
I definitely agree that it's a lot during this semester, especially everything going on with Corona. And it's hard to, do classes virtually and stay on top of things. I definitely think, the teachers have been, really cooperative with us, but I still think it's a lot of work and, whatnot. But I definitely agree with you on stressful times. And then my last question to you is, what advice would you give to someone dealing with these kinds of, things in their lives?
My advice for someone dealing with this would be to take a step back and breathe and realize that everything's not what it seems and it's going to be okay.
Well, I love that advice, Alexis. I just wish sometimes it was easier said than done, because I wish that, I would think for myself that everything is going to be okay. But sometimes it really is hard to, really focus and be like, okay, everything's going to be okay. And, later on I'll discuss, like, it is really hard to stop overthinking and turn your thoughts off for a second and just take a step back, like you said, and just relax, because, it's not a life or death situation. There might be little things that go on with family and friends and work, and you may come across someone, that's having a bad day and they're taking it out on you and you take it personally. I know myself, I have done that because I'm a very sensitive person and charismatic person. So I definitely feel like everyone needs that space to have their own time alone. Back. Thank you all. Thank you, Alexis, for coming on the podcast and talking to me. So now that I get back to what, I'm really trying to talk about in this podcast series, everyone is dealing with some sort of anxiety, depression throughout their lives. Some are worse than others, but, some things that I think we all should do is try to figure out some of the stressors in our life. Practice the 4 A's, which they include: learn how to say no, avoid people who stress you out, take control of your environment, pare down your to-do list, get moving, and contact with others, such as loved ones. Manage your time better, which is a big one for most of us to do, because I am the worst at time management. I procrastinate a lot, and I'm pretty sure a lot of college students do the same. You just get lazy and, just want to hang out and not complete your work. But, at the same time, when you do it, you feel great and you feel like you accomplished something. So definitely me personally, I have to manage my time better. Also, trying to have time to do things in such little time makes it harder to get things done. I know that when I am like rushed, I, want to do everything so quickly, but it's like hard. And I also am very like OCD and like everything in a certain way and to be perfect. And sometimes, life isn't like that, as we all have learned and known. But as such little things like tasks and stuff like that, getting them done, for me, if I don't have time and I do it at the last minute, I'll get anxiety from it, actually. And that's where a lot of the anxiety is built up, which can, pressure you to complete tasks. And when your anxiety hits an all-time high, it's hard for you to like stay focused and be grounded about what you're exactly doing at the time. For myself, like I said, when I am, under pressure, it makes me anxious to rush and complete things. So that's not the best. But the last tip I will be giving to you all is how to maintain balance with a healthy lifestyle. So maintaining a healthy lifestyle means, eating healthy, getting enough sleep, avoid things that won't be beneficial for yourself. And I got this in an article. So I definitely think that the authors were right with what they were saying. Like, to really benefit your overall health, it starts with you doing things that can help you mentally and physically. And I know sleep is a big thing. And, there has been times where I have not, like wanted to get out of bed or do something because I'm just very tired from the night before if I stay up late, or if I'm having a crazy day the day before and it's like I don't want to do anything. And sometimes it is anxiety and sometimes it is depression. You just also I definitely believe there is such a thing as seasonal depression and anxiety, and you don't want to go anywhere and you're inside basically when it's cold out and snowing or rainy. You don't feel like contacting with anyone, and it's hard for you sometimes to get out of that rut. But you have to keep going. So the other thing I was going to talk about is you guys are probably all wondering like why this is important and what is the real core of anxiety and depression. And, as Healthline stated, another article I found, which was great, anxiety is a feeling of fear, worry, or unease. It can be a reaction to stress, or it can occur in people who are unable to identify significant stressors in their life. So, a lot of people are like, well, I don't understand why I feel like this. And that was me a few years ago. And I have come to like learn about myself a little bit more, but it is hard exactly like when such a little thing can occur. It really does. You really don't know how it will affect you overall, because you get hit with something like so small, like with a friend or roommate or a little fight. I mean, it can really hit you sometimes, and you might not be aware, and you might be feeling like, well, why am I so anxious? Or like, why am I just really sad and I was just really happy like a second ago? So, I am sure we are aware of what, some stressful situations in our lives are, but like I said, it is hard. So they did explain stressors can include moving, starting a new job, a new school, losing a family member or friend, like I have lost, getting married, having a baby, like getting into a car accident. Like it all adds up with your anxiety and depression, and making you feel uneased. So all of these examples came from Healthline, which I really thought the article was really good. Losing a family member, specifically speaking, losing a member of a family or a friend in your life is a really hard thing to cope with, because nothing will be the same without that person. You just don't, sometimes like now, and, I've had, it's a crazy time. So people that have been, family friends of mine, have committed, son or daughter have committed suicide, and that is a real big thing now in our world, in today's society. Everyone has anxiety and depression. It's just different forms, and it's only like what makes you stronger at the end of the day. And for myself, I said earlier, I did lose my grandma about 6 years ago. And this was kind of, what started my anxiety and depression. It was definitely all new, not having her in my life. I come from a big family, Italian family, and, every holidays together, every birthday dinners, every Sundays sometimes, going to church. Like, my family is really close oriented, and I think also when my grandma passed away, it was also something that, we still stuck with. Like, Christmas was a big holiday for my family with my grandma, and the first year was really hard, but we still kept that tradition going, which I'm sure she's, looking down and is happy. But, like anxiety forms through stressful situations that we all face, and then that other part comes along with depression. So let me tell you what anxiety feels like. So some anxiety, when you're just like really nervous over something, you're breathing fast, you're beginning to like profusely sweat, you're shaking, you're having muscle tension, you're dizzy, change in appetite, feeling tired. So I got this also off Healthline editorial team, which they did a great job explaining overall anxiety and depression and stressors. But I know I face, for me, I know I face a decent amount of these effects. It's hard when you do have really bad anxiety and you deal with these things and you don't know, why you're feeling like this or, what to do because, I've had, oh my gosh, so many times, panic attacks, and a while it did last me until I started to learn, trying to get myself out of that panic attack almost. And, sometimes now I still get them and it lasts me a few minutes, but it is definitely scary because you're like, why am I feeling like this? What's going on? And that's the scariest thing. So, the first and foremost thing is to just remain calm and breathe. I know that is very hard sometimes. And, I have learned that you're the only one that can kind of take yourself out of that place and be like, I'm okay. Everything's going to be okay. And, nothing's going to happen. I'm safe. But right now I have to deal with it. But, definitely overthinking and trying to get out of your own head is a really hard thing to do. It takes practice. It really does. And for myself, I still am trying to learn how to be present and tell myself I'm okay when I am in a stressful situation and I don't really know how to take myself out of it, generally speaking. With that said, the more tools you have to reduce your stress, you can maintain a healthy life. Now, it doesn't mean because I get enough sleep, I eat healthy, I work out, I'm going to make sure nothing bothers me and I'm going to put on a strong face. No, things will bother you. We're all not perfect and we all definitely have feelings. Some people can't control their feelings like other people can. Some people can't talk about their feelings or things that are going on. But me, generally speaking, I definitely probably annoy my friends the amount of times I talk to them about something, and that's okay. I know it's okay, but sometimes, I could be probably too much. But, the next step is the biggest challenge, especially for myself, is that, stop thinking negative thoughts. Depression can really make your mind race and go through all kinds of thoughts. However, I think having people there for you to talk to and confide in is a big step to helping yourself. So we all must be there for each other. You never know what the person next to you is going through. You just have to be humble and grateful. And it is a hard time. And sometimes you think, oh, I can't get out of this rut. I feel like this. Why doesn't that person feel like that? And I struggle so much. But at the end of the day, there's always a way out. So, I definitely wanted to bring awareness to this because me speaking, I have a lot of background knowledge to this, and it might not seem sometimes from the person you're looking at, oh, wow, that girl or guy doesn't seem like they go through a lot. But people wouldn't expect, and I have gotten told people don't expect me to. Definitely appreciate you all listening. So I will catch you all later, and thank you for checking out. Hear me out. Later, all.